told you that the best chance at seeing a brand new Starcraft game isn't from Blizzard at all. For years, Starcraft has been completely frozen in time, kept alive strictly by a fan base that refuses to let it die, while Blizzard just quietly pretends it doesn't even exist, as can be seen in their most recent announcement of update. And that's why what just surfaced is so interesting. Because if the reports are real, this might be the first actual attempt to bring Starcraft back in years. According to multiple industry sources, Nexon, yes, Nexon, is currently working on a revival of Starcraft that sounds suspiciously close to Starcraft Ghost. Remember that game that was announced like what feels like maybe 20 years ago now? And no, this is not a remaster or some mobile spin-off. It's a brand new, fully fledged game that's going to take one of Blizzard's most neglected IPs and completely reinvent it for the modern era of gaming. But of course, one big question remains. Because without Blizzard at the helm, this could end up being a massive disaster, to be completely honest. Even though, I mean, if anybody can't tell just by looking at it, Blizzard has kind of had a troubled history as of the last 10 years, maybe. So on one hand, maybe it's good that Blizzard isn't handling this game, but on the other, do we really want Nexon to be responsible? Let's dive deeper into the news and see what exactly we're dealing with here. According to reports, the legendary game StarCraft will be revived through Nexon, the #1 game developer in Korea. Nexon signed a cooperation agreement to develop content related to StarCraft with Blizzard just last year. And for those of you that don't know, StarCraft is a real-time strategy game. It is one of the most iconic IPs in the world and led to the emergence of the global esports industry. And although it's been nearly 3 decades since it first launched in Korea, it still has an insane group of fans in that country and across the globe. So this new project has been placed under Nexon's shooter division, which is responsible for sudden attack. This leads us to assume that it's very possible that this new StarCraft IP will be reimagined as either a first-person shooter or a third-person shooter, rather than the original RTS type of game. Which means that we might be looking at a revival of StarCraft Ghost here. Or we're gonna get something completely different, but I think there are a lot of people that will not let go of StarCraft Ghost being something real. It was so close. I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a point in time where StarCraft Ghost was so close to being a real legitimate game, and it just completely fell apart. Now, just because they're working on this doesn't mean it's actually going to come out, because previously in 2015, Nexon secured the rights to Final Fantasy. And do you see any Nexon Final Fantasy games? Because I sure don't. It means the game fell apart somewhere along the lines of development, and that could happen here, because apparently in order to secure this with Blizzard, they're going to have to do a deep internal demo that's really going to have to convince them whether this is worth it or not, or if it'll appeal to the audiences that they want it to. If this game's going to come out and not make them any money, then obviously they're not going to go forward with it. StarCraft is already kind of on the fringe of things, so there's no point really chasing that nostalgia trend if nobody's going to be interested, or if you're developing a game that's just not going to resonate with the right people. But of course, if they're not developing an RTS, they have a whole new audience that they can appeal to. And people right now are really hungry for just good games. I know there's a lot of multiplayer games right now that are just trying to grab your attention every which way. I mean, I'm literally 100% addicted to Deadlock. Like, I can't stop playing it. I love that game. And if they're gonna bring a brand new third-person shooter kind of game to Blizzard, I mean, do we need another one? Right now, no. But I'd like to see a really great campaign-based game come out of this. That would be awesome. I don't think it's really the case with Nexon being behind it. It seems like it's going to be something that's going to be a little bit more multiplayer focused and probably be full of microtransactions, if I'm being honest. But I'm trying to keep my mind open, you know what I mean? I'm always hoping for a game to be good. And there's a potential here for the game to be good. Just because I want more StarCraft. StarCraft is such a cool world, and it's so underutilized. There's so much potential that hasn't been reached with StarCraft. Like, they could have made awesome movies. They could have made so many more sequels. They could have really taken it to the limit. I think that just right now, and kind of within the past 10 years, people don't care about RTS games, like at all. That ship has sailed, to be honest. The people who do care about RTS games have moved on to other RTS games that have deeper systems and extra mechanics, things like Total War, things like Civilization. I know it's not exactly the same, but things like Crusader Kings 3, where it's just much more in-depth on the strategy side rather than the real-time, combat-based, kill the enemy's base sort of situation. Now, one thing that people also don't remember is that roughly a year ago, video game industry reporter Jason Schreier gave us a little bit of news that Blizzard was actually working on something with StarCraft Ghost, and that the project is being led by Dan Hay, who was previously the executive director for the Far Cry franchise. It doesn't really give me so much hope that it's being put in that direction, but you can kind of get an idea of where the game is headed if Nexon's involved and they're getting Far Cry involved, that this game is going to be probably a campaign-based game and probably something more in line with The Division, which could be really cool with StarCraft. I'm just hoping for a good game here, dude. That's all I want. That's all the people want. Give us a good StarCraft game. We've been waiting long enough.